Well, welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It is Thursday, the 4th of April. You're with Steve Wyss and James Eastham, which means one thing and one thing only. It is the return of the Europa League and the Conference League. I was just messaging you last week, James, saying how I've missed doing the show. It's been too long a gap, hasn't it?
Too long a gap.
Yeah. So very, very excited. I'm excited. I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. The Europa League and Conference League quarterfinals. This is right up my street. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Steve. And we were talking, weren't we, just before we've gone on air about how is this the perfect round of games? It's a perfect number of games, maybe, because we've obviously done the earlier rounds where we've got a lot of matches, which has been very exciting. But we're down to the quarterfinals now, aren't we? So we've got 4 games, first legs tonight in the Europa League, 4 games, first legs in the Conference League, 8 matches, and they're all really competitive, for different reasons. We've got some big ties with 2 big teams going up against each other. We've got other ties where there's a clear favourite and an underdog. But I would say there's no ties where there isn't the potential for an interest, really, if you know what I mean. Not that we've got picks on all the games, but I think there's major talking points on all the matches. So same as you, Steve, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we've got plenty of bets for the show. I kept my powder fairly dry over Tuesday and Wednesday, did okay. But Thursday, this is what it's all about, Europa League and Conference League. We're going to be talking about all the games in detail. Another bonus Norwegian play from me later on at the end of the show. And of course, we're going to be looking through the draws and all that. Put down your best bets for today. Whatever sport, there's loads of other events going on. The US Masters has started. IPL is live as well for those who've been watching the cricket. Paul Laguna, great to see you. In the show, Ming Chung, Byron, Duncan, all these guys, 18, Noah Goodman, give us some winners. That's the idea, Noah. Hopefully we can get some winners later on. Rick Haley and Daniel and Puello Charles, you're all in today. Cabral, Ian Massey, there's too many of you to mention. But Villa fan, what do you think about last night's result? Are Villa still in the tie against PSG? And of course, he's mentioned there the weather in Bodo. We're going to talk about that very, very soon. But just quickly before we move on, do you still give Aston Villa any chance against PSG? James, at 2-1, they were banging the game, but at 3-1, are they just kind of out of the tie?
I think they're out of the tie, yes. I think it will be an interesting and exciting game. I don't think the second leg won't be competitive. Can I see Villa avoiding defeat in that second leg? Yeah, possibly. But I can't see them taking it to extra time, let's say, by winning by 2 goals in 90 minutes. No, I just think PSG are too strong. I have to say I was slightly nervous about the Aston Villa game without Marquinhos at the back for PSG, who was suspended. They played a little bit better than I thought. Maybe I'm a bit too sort of pessimistic about PSG because it's almost too good to be true how well they're doing. But I thought they were absolutely fantastic, particularly going forward. So for me, yes, I think that tie is pretty much done and dusted now.
Biggest soccer bet yesterday on the sportsbook was in the PSG game, nearly $10,000 on PSG, minus 0.75 Asian handicap live, which was a winner. Not sure what minute that bet got placed in, but it was a full winner. The couple of notable winners and losers from yesterday. Mavericks Lakers yesterday, over 226.5 points, was a loser, $34,000 loser, unfortunately, there. And also the Diamondbacks against the Orioles, under 9 total runs live in the baseball. That was a winner, nearly $30,000 on that. And there's going to be plenty of money on a lot of different events today. We're going to get cracking in to the Europa League, and this is the draw. We can see the route to the final. I forgot where the final is, James. You might have to remind me this year. But that is the route to wherever the final venue is. Spurs or Frankfurt will play Bodo Glimt, or Lazio, Rangers, or Athletic Bilbao against Lyon or Man United. I mean, I think the right-hand side of the draw is the toughest half easily here. We're going to start things off with the Bodo Glimt Lazio game, but Europa League winner. And I asked this to Nigel and Will with the Champions League the last couple of days. Is it too late now to get involved in the outright market? Is the value gone? Is the edge gone? We've given out, you gave out Athletic Bilbao on the newsletter official pick. We've both given out Lyon at much bigger prices than this. Right now, I don't think I would back anyone in this market, but is there something that would still catch your eye?
It's a really good question, that, Steve. Yeah, most of these teams have been bigger prices, obviously, when we were further back in the draw. I still think Lyon are quite tempting at plus 1100 there. That obviously depends if you think they're going to get past Manchester United in the next round, which is obviously tonight and next week. I will come on to that game. I think there's some value in that, but they were bigger prices earlier. Athletic Bilbao is a team I backed a long way back. You asked about the final, Steve. It's actually in Bilbao, and I think that is part of the reason why Athletic Bilbao have been, I'm not going to say shorter odds than they would otherwise have been, because they are a good team. This is a top four side from Spain, but I think the fact the final, if they get there, will be a home match is a factor. I backed them back in December or January on the show because that was a slight factor, but it was more to do with just what a solid team they are. So I wouldn't go into that outright market now, but that's partly because you and I have both mentioned Lyon at bigger prices. If I was coming at it fresh, Lyon at plus 1100 would be my play. But like I say, it depends what you think about their chances against Manchester United, because whatever we say about Manchester United, that is a tough draw. We've got to be honest.
Yeah, how could I forget that the final's in Bilbao? Yeah, I've got confused with a different final there for a minute. And you're right, that is possibly a reason why they are a little bit shorter. There's extra motivation. And, if they did make the final, that would have to be some sort of edge, I think.
You would think so, wouldn't you? I mean, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? We've seen teams in the past, play at home and obviously not win. I'm thinking of Bayern Munich, was it 2012 against Chelsea? People that want to go an awfully long way back. Roma lost in the European Cup final to Liverpool in 1984 on home soil. But it's a funny one. I think, it should be an advantage because obviously they know where they are, but it can bring pressure as well, can't it? Because there's so much expectation when you're playing at home. So we're a long way off that, but I do think it has been a factor in Bilbao's pricing, I think, as we've gone into the competition and then worked our way through the rounds.
Dan Roebuck says opt to have Athletic Club as the highest ranked side on their power rankings. I think we do as well on the Betting Weekly Insider, which will be in your inbox tomorrow, I think. So do subscribe to that. Of the remaining teams in this competition. It's an interesting one, but there's a few different factors here which we'll talk about soon, especially with Man United and Spurs, who might not be kind of that good, but in this competition it's all or nothing. So loads of factors there. So Isaac Newt is going for the Dan Roebuck draws today. The draw parlay is at 160 to 1. Producer Troy's put in there. He's been due some draws all the Champions League and all the Europa League. Dan Roebuck. But we're going to start in Norway. Bodo Glimt against Lazio. This is the only one early kickoff today. The other three games get underway later. This is 12:45 Eastern. Bodo Glimt against Lazio, and Glimt. There has been some money for Glimt here, and I think there's been all sorts of stuff on social media doing the rounds over the last couple of days. Snow has been falling. It's cold. It's an artificial pitch. And I've got a feeling Bodo Glimt are quite a strong public underdog here, and are going to be quite a popular bet. And I'm going to back them myself. Whether it's heart over head, I don't know, James. But I think Tino bet at plus 130, 123. I think is worth a go here. I'll come into a few factors soon, but the key stat for me is since they came back into European competition in 2020, they've got an incredible home record. It's 29 wins, 1 draw, and 6 defeats at this stadium. Now, that includes Champions League qualifying, Europa qualifying, group stages, all sorts. So there's some really poor teams in there as well. But there's no doubt the home advantage. This is probably the biggest home advantage in the whole of Europe right now, arguably. I think it does mean something. And Lazio looking ahead. Big Rome derby coming up. They could be distracted. Great chance for Glimt, I think.
Yeah, well, I was really interested to hear what you were going to say, actually, Steve, about the conditions. You obviously follow things a lot more closely than I do in Norway, because I felt the top line stats on this game pointed towards Bodo Glimt as well. Just the fact that they did well in the group phase in this competition. They got through against a decent Olympiacos side in the knockout phase to get here. First ever Europa League quarter final, I think, for Bodo Glimt. I get the feeling that if you're in that position where you're going deeper in a competition than ever before, it's actually quite nice to be underdogs, which they are, because you've already done really well and you're kind of not under any pressure to go further because you're not really fancied by the market to go further. So it's a nice position to be in. You're absolutely right. We talked on weekly show, European weekly show, which will be going out tomorrow probably, about the Rome derby. That's obviously a massive game for Lazio, who are really still going for a Champions League place in Serie A. So lots of reasons why I think it's a little bit like the Lyon game we're going to come on to. You've got an underdog at home to go through in the tie, who actually in this first leg are quite tempting. It's a big ask, I think, for Lazio to go there and win. They'd be disappointed if they lost. Does that point towards the tie? I had a look at the tie on this game, which is plus 250. In the end, I haven't got a pick or a lean on this game. But yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think the smart way to play it would be probably to oppose Lazio in some way, because 132 plus 132 to win the game on the night looks a little bit short to me.
I think it just makes sense to get on the Glimt side in the first leg. For me, the tie no bet plus 123, that's definitely a bet. There's also some player props you could look at here. Let's just start with the Lazio player, Gustav Isaacsen. I think it's been in great form for them. Minus 122 for a shot on target. This guy likes to shoot from distance, and you can score some screamers. But on the Glimt side of things, you've got Ulrich Saltnes plus 132 for a shot on target. Scored 2 goals at the weekend, I think it was. Against Petter Hauge, minus 107 for a shot on target. And the main man up front, of course, Kasper Wartz-Ho. He's the big goal-scoring threat. And, you know, I could see him getting on the score sheet here. He's now plus 230 to score any time. He is a massive threat up front. He scored in domestically, he scored in Europa. He might even get on penalty duty now, because the previous penalty that Glimt had this season was missed by Jens Petter Hauge. The weather, you know, it's not going to be snowing at kickoff. I think Isaac Newton said that. It's just going to be flurries, but it will be cold. It's not going to be ideal for Lazio, who I think Lazio, even if you offered them a slender defeat here, would be very confident in turning it around in Rome. Let's be honest. Over the 2 legs, I think it's going to be quite difficult for Glimt. I would love to see them go through, but I think over the 2 legs, logically, Lazio should have enough. Do you think, James?
Yeah, I would think so. I think the price on them to go through minus 400, it looks quite short, but I wouldn't argue with it. I think that second leg at home, it's very hard to see how they wouldn't both win it and get the win that they need to go through. So I think the prices to qualify are fair, but I would tend to agree with you, Steve, on the first leg. I think that Bodo Glimt are probably the team to be with here.
Just looking through some of the comments here. Effie Brilovsky, welcome in. Over 1 goal in the first half and over 2.5 for the game. Goals are usually a good idea in Glimt matches, and I think they might feel they have to go for broke here. They probably feel they've got to win the game. Peter Chalkins is going Glimt on the same draw no bet Asian line. Stephen from Lynn, good to see you, and he thanks us for the half the other day. That was a good winner for us. We're going to get to Chelsea very, very soon. Brandon King as well. Just some stats before we go. 77% of the money has been on Lazio here. 59% of the money's on the under in the over-under market. So I wonder if people are looking at those weather conditions and thinking it's going to be a low-scoring game. It is possible in that regard. But I think Glimt, correct score predict. I'm going to go 2-1 to Bodo Glimt, James, in the first leg. What about you?
Exactly the same, Steve. 2-1 to Bodo Glimt.
Makes sense. Okay, we're going to move to the Conference League now, because there's one early kickoff in that too. This is the draw, and the final of this is actually in Poland, in Wrocław, I think is the place. I think that's the pronunciation. Chelsea, of course, huge favourites here. That's their section of the draw. And then on the other side, it's very, very likely that Real Betis and Fiorentina will meet in the semi-final. And the Conference League winner odds, Chelsea minus 182. Now, I've been trying to think of, I've been thinking about taking them on, Chelsea, in this market, James. And you've got to decide really between Betis and Fiorentina, I think. Yeah. But Chelsea have I just think since Christmas, they've not been convincing in a one-off game against Real Betis or Fiorentina. I'm not sure it's an absolute banker. So I did look at Betis, but plus 400, I just want a little bit more.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It's one of those where I would leave this market alone, because I think the market prices are sort of talking you out of it every which way you look at it. Chelsea, are they going to win it? Probably. Are they the clear favourites compared to, say, the Europa League or the Champions League? Yes, they're much, much clearer ahead of the pack in this competition than any team is in those other two. But are the other teams big enough to pull you in? Not for me. And I think you're right, Steve. I think Real Betis and Fiorentina are almost clear, aren't they, as 2 and 3. You've got sort of 3 sections to this competition now, with Chelsea on their own and then those 2 and then the rest. But none of the other 7 teams appeal at the prices they are. So I get it. I get the market prices. For me, it would be a market to just completely ignore, to be honest.
Anyone out there watching this would be happy to bet Chelsea to win this competition at -182? Tie your money up for what, a month and a half? I don't know. It wouldn't be for me at all, even though, admittedly, of course, they're deserving favourites overall. And we're going to start with the Chelsea game. They're in Legia, Warsaw here. Chelsea -245 on this graphic. It's now -186. So they've drifted. Now, is that to do with team news? Does someone know? We will actually should know the lineup before we finish this show. Is it going to be a weaker Chelsea side? Legia Warsaw backed into +475. A few comments here in chat suggesting it might be a bit of a tricky tie for Chelsea. But I mean, you've been with Chelsea throughout the whole competition. In most of the games you backed them, you profited nearly every time, James. You're sticking with the West London outfit.
I am sticking with them. I think they're a great bet here on the Asian handicap. I think it was the real Brendan King there came up with a comment. Why are they the price they are? Is the -1 on the Asian handicap too easy? That's exactly my reading of this game. Why not back Chelsea -1 on the Asian handicap if you, like me, think they're going to win? Because I think this is a very winnable tie. I get the point about team news. Maybe the prices are moving because of team news, but the way I look at this, Steve, is that every question that's been asked of Chelsea in this competition this season, they've answered it. They've played a weaker side through most of the group stage. Yes, admittedly, they would have faced arguably even weaker sides there than they're facing here. But there's a real clear difference in quality here. They're facing a side from the Polish top division who are not top of that division. I think they're 5th in the Polish first division at the moment, are Legia Warsaw. Chelsea should win this game away from home, even if they rotate in virtually every single position. So my pick on the game is Chelsea -1 on the Asian handicap. It should be available about -114, something like that, because I just feel that if Chelsea, what are the chances of Chelsea not winning the game? I think very, very slim. We've seen them do really well on the road. They're used to playing these sort of games now with an understrength side. It's not a particularly tricky journey. And I think the players that will be starting in this competition are really focused on winning it. So I really like Chelsea -1 on the Asian handicap because if they win by a single goal, you get your stakes back. If they go on and win by 2 goals or more, then you're going to have a winning pick. And they should be, in my opinion, fully capable of doing that. So that's my first pick of the games tonight. I think Chelsea should get it won. And I was a little bit surprised to hear you say about the price change there. Obviously, Chelsea are getting opposed in the market. Fair enough. Some people may worry about the team that they're going to select, but I think for those of us like us, Steve, who've watched Chelsea throughout this competition, they've been pretty good, whatever team they've picked. So I'd be very surprised if they didn't win tonight.
Yeah, and Dave Clark makes a very good point here. This has happened before. This is not unusual for Chelsea games in the Conference League. And the last time it did happen, they'd still won because let's be honest, the whole squad is miles better than most teams in the Conference League. At Legia Warsaw, I think they're 4th or 5th in the Polish league. Now, I wouldn't know exactly who the best team in Poland is right now. It's quite a tight league table. We'll be talking about Jagiellonia, Bialystok very, very soon later on in the show. But there is a clear gulf here. I mean, this is a side that did beat Aston Villa at home last season in the Conference League. So, maybe they've got to give them a little bit of respect. A few suggesting they might score on Chelsea. I did have a lean towards over 2.75 goals at -129. But a couple of people putting up the 2-0 correct score in chat. And that's what I'm fearful of by taking the over here. That 2-0 Chelsea win could very much happen. I'm saying you definitely need Lecce to score if the over is going to cash. Chelsea could score 3 or 4 themselves. But sometimes it is best to just not be don't overthink things, James. And that's what you've done so well in this Conference League. All campaign with Chelsea, and it's profited. Sometimes the obvious bet is the best bet.
Correct. Yeah. And I'll just say, just final thing to add on it, the focus has been really impressive. If you follow Chelsea game by game, every time they've got into a game, they've been not issues with injuries, but issues with the fact they've changed their team. They've been weaker. It's not always been the same sort of backup players. They've changed it around as well. So players actually going out onto the pitch sometimes have got a fairly limited familiarity with one another, and they've dealt with absolutely everything. They've gone to different places and won. They've won some games yet a little bit more narrowly, but they won other games by big margins. So I think coming into the business end of the season where there's even more focus, and we should say the team is likely to be stronger here than in the rest of the competition. It might not be full strength, but it will probably be stronger than what they've normally fielded. But I'd be surprised if they didn't win.
Byron says under 2.75 goals, minus 118, and there has been decent money for the under on this game. 72% of the money is on the under goal line. A couple of people, Arca Cabral and Tristan Riggle, good to see you, suggesting Chelsea halftime, full time. That's plus money, so you could look at that. James's pick minus 1 Asian handicap there on Chelsea, and that concludes the early games. We move back to the Europa League late games now. We've got 3 games on the slate, and these are tasty, really tasty games. Lyon, Man United, Tottenham, Frankfurt, and Rangers, Bilbao. Where do we go here? We'll go with Lyon, Man United, because as you might expect, James, you've got a lot to say about this game. Lyon are the very slight dog, plus 180 to win on the night. Man United plus 150. Over 2.5 goals is minus 109. The tie's at plus 235. You've got lots of interest here, James. You've got match bets, you've got player props. But first of all, how do you see this game unfolding? You're in the perfect position here, a French football expert who lives in Manchester. You're going to know everything about this game.
Well, I'm probably, bizarrely, although I'm in the UK now, a little bit more about Lyon, but yeah, you are right in a way. My view on it, and I think there's different views on this game, but my view is that Lyon are too big here for the first leg. We maybe move on to the qualify market, which is slightly different, but I was surprised when I saw Lyon as underdogs. They were my pick on the newsletter, which has gone out. Lyon Tino bet I put forward at the start of the week was minus 112. They've now actually got a bit bigger. They're plus 100. So Man United are being fancied here. We were talking, I think, off air before after the European show that we recorded today about the fact United have got a little bit better. Need to take that into account. But for people that don't follow League One, France League One closely, Lyon have been playing well under Paulo Fonseca as their manager, who came in mid-season. They played some really good football. They got a big win last weekend. They beat Lille 2-1. I think they go into this game in pretty confident frame of mind. So I'm very happy to stick with that pick I put out at the start of the week on Lyon Tino bet. I think minus 112 was a good price. I think plus 100 is an even better price. So I struggle to see them losing. I understand that United have got a little bit better. They will pose a threat here, but Lyon are a good side and they've got pretty good players all over the pitch. I think if you were to combine the two starting 11s and kind of look at it that way as a sort of a comparison, I think there'd be quite a few Lyon players in it for me. So quite surprised, as I say, they're as big as they are, plus 180 to win it. I would try and be on them. My other plays on the game today, which are props bets, are on the over 0.5 shot on target market. Again, Lyon players here. So just to give you those picks, first of all, the 2 picks are on Thiago Almada and Ryan Cherki in the over 0.5 shots on target market. Almada is plus 180 and Cherki is plus 143. I think both of those are big prices. So background on those two and where they might fit in. They're not the main striker. They're kind of number 10s, or they'll play out wide. Part of the reason I fancy them here is because they are 2 of 4 wide attacking players in the Lyon squad. The other 2, Fofana and Nuama, are out injured. What does that mean? Well, it means that these 2, Almada and Cherki, are almost certainly going to start. I think it also means there's a little bit more chance they're going to stay on the pitch the full 90 minutes because Lyon don't quite have the options on the bench that they would probably like to have. So I thought they were both good prices. Ryan Cherki's been getting a lot of coverage recently because he played well for France under 21s against England during the international break. I think he's actually top of the assists list in this competition with 8 assists. So you might want to look at that market. But I expect Lyon to be really positive tonight. I think they will try to get a first leg lead and they'll go pretty hard to try and get that. Almada and Cherki have played really well in 2025. I felt that big plus money prices, odds against prices in this market would be worth taking. So, yeah, I would split my stakes across the two, Almada and Shirky, and then as long as one of them manages a shot on target, then you're going to make a profit. But that's the way I see it. It's quite Lyon focused. It's quite Lyon favourable. I think people who follow the Premier League might have a different view, but I do think Lyon are underrated tonight to produce a good performance and get some sort of positive result.
Yeah, everybody obviously agrees with you. Lyon draw no bet. They've never lost to Man United at home. And actually, it's a long way back, though, since the two teams last met competitively. 2008, James, you probably remember this game just like I did. Karim Benzema scored the opening goal. It was a really, really good goal. And Sir Alex Ferguson tried to sign him pretty much afterwards, gave him a shirt and all that sort of thing. And then Real Madrid swooped in. Ronaldo was on the opposite side for Man United, which is an interesting one. Ended 1-1. Tevez equalised, and then United, I think, won the second leg 1-0. So yeah, I'm sure, like you, it was a really good times actually. That Lyon team were strong. Turkey, to show the world his quality. It feels like a big moment for Turkey now. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this game. Yes. Is he the sort of player who's going to thrive?
Yeah, well, he is. You've mentioned the Benzema issue there. We're going back, what are we, nearly 20 years, which is incredible, isn't it? But very similar situation here with, number one Lyon academy prospect of the moment in Shirky, who is a rising star, even though he's been around for about 5 years already. But huge moment for him. He has been in really, really good form. I think it's a massive stage for him and a great opportunity. So, yeah, I would expect him to not only start, I think it was Byron there saying he will start. I think he will. And he's played well in almost every game in 2025, which is the big question mark against him maybe until this season was consistency. We've seen real consistency from him now. And I think he'll be desperate to show what he can do on this sort of stage. So I think he and Almada are the players to watch for Lyon. I'm expecting good things from either or both of them. That's why I quite like both in the shot on target market. They could well both deliver, but I would be surprised if neither of them did.
Yeah, do you know what I'm going to do here, James? I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to fully tell you on all your picks for this game. I don't really have a lean myself in any direction. I do hope Lyon get the win. It'd be good for the tie, I think, overall. Yeah. I mean, to qualify, Man United are the favourites, obviously, here at minus 190 Man United to qualify, plus 140 Lyon. There will be some people interested in Lyon here to qualify. Do you give them a chance over in the two legs? Yeah,
I do. Yes, I do. I can understand United being favourites. In a way, I prefer Lyon on the first leg to win, which is not my play. My play is Lyon draw no bet, but they're plus 180 to win in 90 minutes tonight and plus 140 to go through. I'd probably, if I was having to pick one of those two, I'd probably back them to win tonight. It's obviously going to be a challenge for them to go to Old Trafford, although they're a club with a huge amount of European experience. When you talk about the club rather than this current squad, there's people there who understand what big nights in Europe are all about. So I would give them a chance. I think United probably deserve to be favourites, but minus 190 on United to qualify, that would be too short for me.
So in terms of correct score predictions, we forgot about the Chelsea game. I'm going to predict 3-1 to Chelsea. I'm also, and I think this could be a little bit of a bonkers night. I think we could get some surprises in whatever way or one. I'm actually going to say Lyon to win this game 3-1. Okay, which would be a big price. I don't know what are you predicting for that Chelsea game in this one?
So Chelsea game, I'm going 2-0 to Chelsea. The Lyon game, I'm going 2-1 to Lyon.
2-1 to Lyon. So yeah, let's see how those matches progress. The next two games on the card for Europa League, I found these really hard. I've got to be honest with you. We've got Spurs against Eintracht Frankfurt, and this is actually the one game today. I'm just finding my notes here. I've got nothing at all, no bet whatsoever. Tottenham against, minus 157 now, Tottenham. Frankfurt plus 370. In terms of the to qualify market, we got Spurs at minus 200. I've had quite a lot of people messaging me in the build-up to this game saying Spurs aren't going to get through against Eintracht Frankfurt, are they? Frankfurt third in the Bundesliga. So I think there's a lot of public sort of perception out there that Spurs aren't going to do well in this tie, which makes me think they might do okay. They always let you down when everyone expects more of Spurs. They can sometimes be a good dog. Not in terms of the odds, they're not a dog, but I feel like the public perceptions that Frankfurt could give them some problems here. Would you bet on Spurs at minus 157 first leg?
No, I wouldn't. I would leave that alone. I think, and they're what, minus 143 to qualify? Yeah, similar sort
Minus
of price.
200 to qualify.
Minus 200. Okay, that's changed a lot. I mean, no, I wouldn't back them on either of those markets. I think one factor that can be a positive or a negative is that Tottenham's season now is all about this competition, isn't it? We know that they've had a poor season in the league. They can't even qualify for Europe now through the league. It's all about going through here. No, I don't fancy them to go through. They could go through, but those prices both tonight to win in 90 minutes and to qualify are extremely short. Listen, you follow the Bundesliga closer than I do, Steve. But I looked at the top line stats on Eintracht Frankfurt. I think they can be a threat here. Plus 375 to win tonight. I mean, are they going to go there and win? I don't know. In the end, I did have a pick on the game, and my pick is on the goals. I think the goals market makes a lot more sense than the match odds market. And a lot of this was to do with the stats. Again, for people who maybe don't watch the two teams that closely, the stats do point towards over 2.5 goals or over goals generally. So just to give you a couple of those stats, Tottenham are currently top of the over 2.5 goals market in the Premier League. 20 out of 31 games in the Premier League have gone over 2.5 goals for Tottenham. And 12 of 16 at home have gone over 2.5 goals as well. And then if you look at Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, it's 18 out of 28 have gone overs. And that includes 9 out of 14 away from home in the Bundesliga. Bringing it back to this competition, I think we're on 13 out of 20 games with these two sides have gone over 2.5 goals. So it's fairly obvious that where that points. Now, the factor to look at next is obviously the price. The price on over 2.5 goals is short, as you would imagine. So my pick on the game was on over 3 goals, which is available at minus 122. You would only lose with that pick if the game had under 3 goals, which could happen, but it's obviously not happening very often when these two teams play this season, either domestically or in Europe. So over 3 goals, minus 122 would be my pick on the game. You would get your stakes back. If there were exactly 3 goals in the game, you would make a profit. If there were 4 goals or more, I felt that was a smarter way to play it, because I think regardless of how well these two teams have done, whether they won matches or lost matches or drawn matches, their games have been high scoring. And for me, that was sounder evidence really pointing towards the goals than there was towards either side, especially when you build in the prices which are available in the match odds market. So that's my pick. It's the goals really, rather than either Tottenham or Frankfurt. I would back over 3 goals at minus 122.
Yeah, official pick from James there on the goals line over 3. Yeah, I mean, I think you made some very good points about it for sure. And in terms of the money, there has been money on the over here, 93% of it. In fact, so it's very, very popular. 89% of the money line money is on Spurs, which I say I don't know if I would fully trust them here, but the whole season's on the line here for Spurs. Eintracht Frankfurt are still battling in the Bundesliga, finishing in the Champions League positions. They'd love to go well in this too, but I say it just feels like do or die for Spurs, for the manager as well. You know, this thing about he always wins something in his second season. Something just nagging me that narrative will continue for another couple of rounds, and they get to the semi-final. Yeah. I am gonna say Spurs win the first leg. I actually had the 3-1 score as well for this game, James, and I am gonna say Spurs go through over 2 legs, but I wouldn't hang my hat on it. What's your correct score prediction?
It's exactly the same. It's 3-1 Tottenham I've gone for. So yeah, I think it could well happen, but for me, as I say, the goal's the main pick, but if Tottenham win it, yeah, I would not be surprised.
Every Brilowski's got his ladder out here. He's going over 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. So good luck with that, Effie, and good luck if anyone is taking anything here. The final game in Europa today, I found this another tricky one. I do have a good player prop bet for this match, and I've got the wrong graphic up there. It's Rangers against Athletic Club Bilbao. The favourites for the Europa League, of course, Bilbao, as we saw at the top of the show. The minus money now to win this game. It's minus 106. Rangers plus 295. I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever Athletic Club Bilbao are the better team. Rangers are not that great. They're in a poor season. How strong is the Scottish League? Not that strong. But Rangers, there's a kind of a rule in your betting textbook for me, and it's I don't like betting against them in the Europa League. They just, for some reason, bring their very best performances in Europa League, home and away sometimes. Their actual home form, James, I've got a stat for you here. This might surprise a lot of people. They in their last, I think it's something like the last 17 at home in Europe, just 6 wins, 7 defeats, and 4 draws. That's not amazing, is it? Away from home, they've only lost 1 of their last 8.
Yeah.
So have they become a better away team in Europe? I'm not sure. I can't bet money line or over under here, but I know Bilbao are the better team.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Bilbao are the better team, and they've moved, haven't they? Because just a couple of hours ago, Bilbao were plus money. I think they were plus 102 earlier today, so they're being favoured. We saw that with Rangers in the last round, didn't we? Had that huge win away from home against Fenerbahce, and then the tie got taken to penalties. So I don't fancy them at all, really. They've done incredibly well to get this far. I think we should say that. It's been a real achievement to get through some of the games they've had, both in the group stage, actually, as well as the knockout phase. But Bilbao should win. I don't have a pick on this game or a lean on this game. I think Bilbao should win it, but the prices just didn't really appeal. Rangers are quite unpredictable. You've mentioned the home record is poor, which is definitely worth people knowing. I left it in the end, but Athletic Bilbao are a really good side. This is a team that's only lost 4 times in the Spanish league this season. I think they're only 6 points behind Atletico Madrid in the table. That's an Atletico Madrid side who've been competed for the Spanish league title most of the season, maybe still are. So there is a clear difference in quality here. My correct score is on a Bilbao win. I've gone 1-0 Bilbao. To get the win. That would be the way I see it. But I think the prices here, both on the game tonight and also on the 2 qualify market, they don't really incentivize a pick or a lean for me.
I'm going to talk about player props here, and Arca Bral has mentioned the guy that I really like here, Vaclav Cherny, I think is that pronounced him, isn't it? This guy comes alive, especially in Europa League. He's actually had a shot on target in 30 of his last 35 games for club or country, which is incredible. He has had at least a shot on target in all of his last 8 Europa League games, and he is minus 125 for a shot on target. Just one shot on target or more in the game. He's over 1.5 shot on target line is worth looking at plus 340. He just on the break, he's lethal. He cuts inside, and he will fire at goal. Arca Bral's going to score or assist there anytime at plus 230. And he is a big threat for Rangers on the break. I guess he doesn't really have that space in the SPL, does he? In a lot of games, they'll just park the bus against Rangers. So he will have maybe more opportunities here. I haven't got a clue about a correct score here. Honestly, James, I haven't got a freaking clue. I'm going to go. What am I going to go with? Let's go 2-1 Bilbao. But you get saying 1-0. It could be absolutely anything on the match result. Over the 2 legs, I would be surprised if Bilbao didn't qualify. Yeah. But this one could go either way. But Cherny, for me, that is possibly the best prop play of the whole night. Really like him to do well. Okay, we move to the Conference League late games then. And Djurgardens against Rapid Vienna. The tightest tie in the Conference League in terms of favoritism to qualify over 2 legs. This perhaps could go either way, but Djurgardens are the underdog here. There's been some money for Rapid Vienna, plus 140 on the money line now. Djurgardens are missing quite a few players for the match. Rapid Vienna's form is hardly particularly that good. You've got a Rapid Vienna side, I think 5th in the Austrian league, against a Djurgardens side who are probably about the 3rd or 4th best in Sweden. So it's not the most appetizing tie in terms of quality. One of these teams will be a semi-finalist, though, in the Conference League. You've got a slight lean on the game. I've got a bet for this game as well, James. What are you like?
Yeah, I have got a lean on the game. I think Djurgardens are a little bit too big here. They're plus 200, as we just seen, to win it on the night. So clear underdogs to win on the night at home against, let's respectfully say, moderate opposition. Rapid Vienna, obviously a big name club and a good team, but it could have been harder. I was surprised. I made it more of a 50-50 tie on the night than it is. So my lean would be to support Djurgardens in some way. These are 2 teams who were finished on the same number of points, I think, in the group phase, very little between them. Then Djurgardens have come through against Paphos on aggregate in the last round. I think they won their last 3 at home in the Conference League. I think they've won 8 out of their last 11 at home in the Conference League. I don't see much difference in quality here between the two sides, and Djurgardens have got home advantage. So plus 200 to win on the night is big. I think if you were looking for a play on the money line, that would be it. My lean on the game is Djurgardens tie no bet plus 110. You're only going to lose if Rapid Vienna get an away win here. Are they going to do that? Well, they might do, but I don't really see why they would. And I think plus money on a decent home team who are arguably as strong, certainly if you look at how they've done in this competition, as the team they are hosting, I think it's a great opportunity. So you mentioned the team news. I think you're right about that. I think the news is that there will be players missing for the home side. So that is a factor. That's why I made this a lean rather than a pick. But I do think if you look at their league form, obviously in different countries, and also their form in this competition, that the home side here are slightly underrated. So that would be my lean. It would be Djurgardens tie no bet, which is, I think, at the moment available at plus money, plus 110.
Yeah, so I think this is the best under 2.5 goal play of the day in either competition. I like under 2.5 goals at minus 136. We've got the two big suspensions for Djurgardens, Stenson and Tokmak Engwen. They've got inactive players who are not qualified, mostly in the attacking areas. Patrick Asland and Rasmus Schuller are injured as well. I'm really struggling to see where the goals are going to come from both teams, to be honest with you. Rapid Vienna, like Dan says there, and someone else, I think, they're in no form whatsoever. I am not talking anyone out of taking Djurgardens because I think there's other factors at work here. The crowd is very, very important. This is a hostile place. I mentioned it previously. It's so hostile. And also, this has been labelled a high-risk match. Rapid Vienna, incredibly, have some ties to one of Djurgardens' biggest rivals in Stockholm, Hammarby. They've got the same club colours and things like that. Ironically, actually, Djurgardens do play Hammarby this weekend. That's a bet for someone this weekend. Fade Djurgardens this weekend against Hammarby. Hammarby are very good. But I think there could be some crowd trouble. I think it's going to be fierce, intense, raucous. Paphos couldn't handle it in the previous round. Rapid Vienna, well, are they going to be able to handle it? They're not in great form. They're not scoring many goals. I'm going to say Djurgardens 1-0 for this game, James.
I'm going to be a bit more bullish. I take the point about the team news, but I'm going to go 2-1 Djurgardens.
2-1 to Djurgardens. You like the home team here. Under 2.5 for me here. Minus 136. I even looked at no goal scorer, but I wanted bigger than plus 750. As I say, I am struggling to see where generally the goals are going to come from here. There's quite a few in chat do like Djurgardens tie no bet as well here, James. Is no doubt is a big factor. We've got the Chelsea starting 11 there, which I think either producer Troy, I think that must be producer Troy who's put that in, unless Nigel's really bored at Monte Carlo. But that is the 11. Are you happy with that 11?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it backs up what we said when we were talking about them earlier. It is stronger than they fielded in the group phase where they won comfortably away from home regularly. Obviously, that's not a full strength side, but you got people like Cole Palmer who've been added to the side. Some good players there. Yeah, I think, the likes of Reece James, Sancho, Palmer, Badiashile. I know he's not everybody's favourite defender. I still quite like him back from his Monaco days. So that is a team for me that should get the win. I think that Chelsea -1 on the Asian handicap is the pick on that game.
In terms of the money for this game, really close with Djurgardens. 52% of that money line is on Djurgardens and 69% of the money is on the undermarket. So it's quite split with the bettors. We've got two more matches to discuss in the Conference League. A couple of big favourites, actually. Celje, the Slovenian side against Fiorentina. Fiorentina -250, who have struggled a bit away from home in the Conference League this year. They've been a bit slack, I think, and just been waiting to do the job at home. They lost at Panathinaikos, didn't they? They dropped points also in some other games. Yeah. And I'm not sure I can fully trust Fiorentina here, James. I was looking at over goals, actually, as a potential lean in this one.
Yes, I would agree with you on Fiorentina. I don't think you can trust them, especially with those prices. They make sense. Fiorentina, obviously, supremely short favourites to qualify. It makes sense. They're -250 to win on the night. Also kind of makes sense, but they have been a bit sloppy in Europe. So this is a no bet game for me, no lean. I think it's one of those where there's not enough sort of confidence for me in Fiorentina being as clinical, let's say, as I think Chelsea would be in this sort of situation. I think we have seen a little bit more erratic performances from Fiorentina, but I tend to agree with you on the overs. I think that would be the way to play it. My correct scoreline pick here is 1-3, so 3-1 away win for Fiorentina. They've been pretty open in their games. I think they've been pretty expansive in the way they've played. Like Chelsea, they've kind of rotated, not as much as Chelsea in this competition, but there's very little value, I think, in backing Fiorentina on this game. I think the short prices make a lot of sense, but they're not consistent enough or reliable enough for me against these smaller sides to justify the really, really short prices that are available on them.
Since the start of the group stage, 7 out of 10 Celje matches have gone over 2.5 goals, and 8 out of 10 Fiorentina games have as well. So the obvious play there is the overs. You can get over 2.5 goals at -143. And the more I think about it, I think that's a bet. I actually do. I'm going to predict tentatively that Desmond here, 2-2. That's a bit brave because Fiorentina could blow Celje out of the water. But I think this match means more to the home Slovenian side, and they'll give it absolutely everything in this first leg. Fiorentina away from home haven't been fully reliable. I mean, they lost against Apoel away at Panathinaikos as well, although Celje, I know it, they're not as good as those sides, really. Unbeaten at home, though, in the Conference League. So, good luck to them here. One final game to discuss, a big favourite, Real Betis here against Jagiellonia Bialystok. -480 now on the money line, really fancied strongly. Goal line is knocking on the door, 3.25. This should be a straight. I mean, I really like what I'm seeing from Real Betis. If they take this seriously, they could put up a big number here. I really like a player prop anytime scorer, Isco, +115. I think that's a monstrous price. He's been in incredible form. He's scored so many goals of late. He's assisted quite a lot as well. Cucho Hernandez is listed as the favourite with Bet Rivers, +108, but I believe he is inactive. He is not qualified or registered for the Conference League, I think. I had a look at this. Real Betis should win quite comfortably, but I don't want to get involved in huge handicaps.
No, I'm the same, Steve. I think a lot of people are kind of warming to them, aren't they? They've done well recently. They're obviously really, really short price here. Jagiellonia have done well in this competition, we should say. They did pretty well in the group phase. I think it was Cercle Bruges they played in the last round and got through. So they've done really well to make the quarterfinals under absolutely no pressure here. They're massive underdogs. I think over the 2 legs, they'll have a real go. Maybe expect a bit more from them when they're playing at home than here. The price on Real Betis to qualify, -715, is obviously very short. The price on them to win tonight is very short as well, -435. So it makes sense to me, but there's no attraction for me to back the really, really short hosts here on the handicap. And likewise, I don't think Jagiellonia are going to be strong enough to win. So it was a no bet, no lean for me this game. My correct score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 to Real Betis. That's a sort of scoreline I think they should be aiming for, really, given the difference in quality here between the two sides.
I'm going to go 4-0 to Real Betis here. I think they could put up a big number. Isco to score, +115, and a little bit of pizza money on Isco to score and assist, +750. It's something he's managed in 3 of his last 5 games. This guy's been racking up goals, assists everywhere. He's going to be on penalties. So, yeah, I really like... I mean, Anthony, someone's mentioning him as well. This could be a good game for him to shine. You can get him at +120 on Anthony Matias dos Santos. That is where he's listed in the chat, +155 actually to score at any time here for him. But yeah, I do think Betis will get the job done and significantly over the 2 legs as well. Just before we go, there's a couple of Norwegian games. Had a winner by 1 corner yesterday in the Fredrikstad match. Got Brann against Stromsgodset and Viking against Kristiansund. And I actually like an under here in Brann Godset, under 3 Asian goals at -109. Main reason we're playing on a grass pitch here in early season in Norway. It doesn't play that well. Rain is forecast in the city of Bergen on the west coast of Norway. There, Stromsgodset generally quite a strong defensively set up team. There's a player that I'm keeping my eye out for that game as well, and his name is Marco Farage for Stromsgodset. He had 63 shots last season, James, in the Eliteserien. didn't score a single goal. He had the most XG of any player without scoring a goal. Wow. And now he scored twice last week. And there's a player in him. There's definitely a good player in him. And I just wonder now that he's scored a couple of goals. Will the floodgates open? He's plus 430 to score at any time. He's in a very advanced position. So it's a bit of a weird one. I'm advising the unders, but I'm also advising a player to score anytime. So do keep your eye out for Marco Farage there for Stromsgodset. But I think that might be a low-scoring game based on weather conditions, based on style of the away team and the actual pitch. But what would be your best bet then of the day, B. James? I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I did. My best bet of the day is going to be Chelsea on the Asian handicap, -1 goal start on the Asian handicap away at Legia Warsaw at -114.
Yeah, there's so many bets that I like here, but I'm going to go Cherney. Shot on target is my best bet of the day at -125. It's so many picks to choose from. James, it's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Cheers, Steve.
And loads of promos. The Betting Weekly Tennis Live, that's going to be back next week, Monday through to Wednesday. Premier League show is already released. We had a great recording this morning on Betting Weekly Extra Time. There's an interesting outtake from that. My two cats got into a fight. I don't know if Nigel will release it on any of the socials, but that was quite an interesting moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. Are they okay? Are they getting on all right now, Steve? Have they made up?
Well, there's a bit of frostiness in the air.
Yeah, happens.
As can happen. But it certainly startled me. I think it startled Dan as well earlier. But the European show, I think, it'll be out in podcast form today, Duncan. But I should be out tomorrow afternoon UK time, probably around about maybe 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. But you never know. Sometimes it is released a little bit earlier, so you got to keep on your toes there. Best of luck wherever you are taking everyone today. James, really enjoyed it as ever. We're going to be back next week for the second legs. Let's cash some winning tickets and get some great games on the card. But remember to gamble responsibly, and we'll see you next time on Betting Weekly Live. Simon Holden's with me tomorrow. He's going to talk Masters Golf, addition to the soccer games on Friday. Take care, y'all.